3. Have you ever felt like you're your own worst enemy? Like there's some invisible force holding you back, tripping you up right when you're on the verge of success? You set goals, you make plans, but somehow you end up sabotaging yourself. Or maybe you've experienced sudden, overwhelming emotions, a burst of anger, a wave of anxiety that seemed to come out of nowhere and feel completely out of character. If any of this sounds familiar, you might be dealing with a powerful, hidden part of yourself, your shadow. So, what exactly is the shadow? The concept was popularized by the Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung. He described the shadow as the unknown dark side of our personality. It's the part of ourselves that we repress, deny, and hide, not just from others, but from ourselves. It's where we stuff all the traits and impulses we deem unacceptable: our anger, our envy, our greed, our fears, our insecurities. We all have a shadow. It's a natural, inevitable part of being human. The problem isn't that the shadow exists. The problem is what happens when we ignore it. Ignoring your shadow doesn't make it go away. It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. You can push it down for a while, but it takes constant energy, and eventually, it's going to burst to the surface with surprising force, often at the worst possible moment. When we pretend our dark side doesn't exist, we don't eliminate it. We just lose control over it. It becomes an unconscious, autonomous force that can wreak havoc in our lives. This is the true price of ignorance, when the shadows we refuse to acknowledge end up controlling us from behind the scenes. Let's talk about self-sabotage. This is one of the most common ways the shadow makes its presence known. You're up for a big promotion at work. You know you're qualified, you've worked hard for it, but the night before the final interview, you stay up all night binge-watching a show and show up exhausted and unprepared. Why? Perhaps deep down, in your shadow, you harbor a profound fear of failure, or even a fear of success, and the responsibility that comes with it. By consciously ignoring that fear, you allow it to take the driver's seat and steer you straight into a wall. Your shadow, in its own misguided way, is trying to protect you from a situation it finds threatening, even if your conscious mind desperately wants it. Think about those moments when you've reacted in a way that genuinely shocked you. A friend makes a harmless joke, and you snap back with a biting, hurtful comment. Or you're sitting in traffic, and a small delay triggers a disproportionate rage. That's your shadow lashing out. It's the buildup of all the repressed frustration, anger, and irritation that you've been diligently pushing down. Because you haven't given these feelings a healthy, conscious outlet, they fester in the dark until they erupt, often damaging your relationships and your own sense of self-control. You're left wondering, where did that come from? That's not me. But it is you. It's the part of you that you've refused to meet. Another dangerous consequence of an unacknowledged shadow is projection. This is a psychological defense mechanism, where we take our own unacceptable qualities and attribute them to other people. If you have a deep-seated insecurity about your own intelligence, you might constantly criticize others for being stupid or ignorant. If you've repressed your own anger, you might perceive everyone around you as being aggressive and hostile. It's easier to see a flaw in someone else than to admit it exists within ourselves. This creates a world of conflict and misunderstanding. You end up fighting with ghosts. You're not reacting to the person in front of you. You're reacting to the disowned parts of your own psyche that you see reflected in them. This can poison friendships, romantic partnerships, and family dynamics. You might accuse your partner of being controlling when, in reality, you're struggling with your own repressed desire for control. You create an external battle to avoid the internal one. The shadow thrives on this confusion, keeping you locked in a cycle of blame and conflict, preventing you from forming genuine, authentic connections. So how do we stop paying this price? How do we step out of the dark and take back control? The answer isn't to destroy the shadow, that's impossible. The answer is to integrate it. This process, often called shadow work, is about turning around, facing what's behind you, and getting to know it. It's about bringing the unconscious into consciousness. The first step is radical self-honesty. It requires courage to look at the parts of yourself you'd rather not see. Pay attention to your triggers. What makes you irrationally angry or defensive? Often, the things that provoke the strongest reactions in us are pointing directly at something in our own shadow. If you find yourself constantly annoyed by people you perceive as attention-seeking, ask yourself, is there a part of me that longs for recognition but is afraid to admit it? Mindfulness and journaling are powerful tools for this. By observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment, you can start to identify patterns. When that familiar surge of anxiety rises, instead of immediately distracting yourself, sit with it for a moment. Ask it, what are you trying to tell me? What are you afraid of? Write down your unfiltered thoughts, your ugly feelings, your secret fears. The page is a safe space to meet your shadow without it causing real-world damage. Another key is to look at your projections. When you have a strong negative reaction to someone, pause. Ask yourself, what is it about this person that bothers me so much? Is it possible that I see a reflection of something I don't like about myself? This is about letting others off the hook for bad behavior. It's about using your interactions as a mirror for self-discovery. This work isn't easy. It can be uncomfortable and unsettling to confront our own flaws and hidden desires. But the reward is immense. When you start to integrate your shadow, you reclaim a huge amount of psychic energy that was being used to keep it repressed. That energy can then be channeled into creativity, passion, and personal growth. You become more whole, more authentic. By acknowledging your capacity for anger, you can learn to set healthy boundaries instead of letting resentment build. By facing your fear of failure, you can develop resilience and take calculated risks. The shadow contains not just negative traits, but also a wealth of hidden strengths and untapped potential. Perhaps your repressed aggression holds the key to your assertiveness. Perhaps your hidden vulnerability holds the key to deep intimacy. Integrating your shadow leads to greater self-acceptance and compassion, both for yourself and for others. When you understand your own capacity for darkness, you're less likely to judge others harshly. You realize that everyone is fighting their own hidden battles. This leads to more authentic relationships built on honesty rather than projection. So, the next time you feel that inexplicable anger, that urge to procrastinate, or that intense judgment of someone else, don't just push it away. See it as a message from your shadow. It's an invitation to turn inward, to explore the depths of your own psyche. The price of ignorance is living a life controlled by forces you don't understand, a life of self-sabotage and unfulfilled potential. The reward for courageously facing your shadow is wholeness, authenticity, and true self-mastery. It's the difference between being a puppet of your own unconscious and becoming the conscious creator of your own life. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. If this resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content on psychology and self-improvement. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, be kind to yourself and be brave enough to look within.